I am free mostly. I'm free mostly. Um Obviously, I still got some prep to do for the commentary stream, which was officially announced and is happening on Tuesday. Uh so I'm not technically fully done with all of my like prep stuff for Do No Harm, but the lion's share of the work is over. I'm on the other side of it. It's all done. You've seen it. You've seen it in its entirety. It's so fucking weird to finally be like it's so weird that it exists now. Like I've really had to like think about the fact that this has been a like a concept in my head since like what 2023, possibly longer. Like it it has been, it's not only just that it's real for me now, but it's like it's yeah, Dodonpa fan fiction exactly. We've been referencing the idea of a Kingdom Hearts dub for a very long time, but it's been confirmed for at least like 2 or 3 years now, right? Because I told my mistake. I told people it was going to be the next one very early on. But also, if I'm being so real, I don't actually think it was that much of a mistake to announce it that early. It's not necessarily something I am planning to repeat, but I think in this specific case, this dub is the single largest project I have ever personally worked on. It is like the most time and mental energy and active work and money and like in every facet of which something could be the largest project I've ever worked on. This is that. Um like it has been crazy the experience of putting this one together. And to get back to my point, I think that given that that started to become very clearly the case, if I had not already announced that we were doing it and had that like that external pressure, there's a very small chance that it would have been like majorly delayed, or like I would have like shelved it until later. You know, like it like really um got down to the wire at some points before we had recorded anything, and we were like thinking about how we were going to get everything scheduled. And like it was really especially tough earlier this year, where I started to realize how long it had been since even Subspace Dubbed Over had come out. And at the time that that came out, I was like, "Oh, it's so good we're putting this out, because even though it's not like a full effort fan dub, it is enjoyable and quote unquote real enough that it'll give me like maybe like a solid year of buffer time, you know, until I have to like put out the next one, right?" It's a little it felt like a little bit of an appetizer, you know, to just to hold people over while we were still just and honestly, while I was personally just trying to muster up the motivation to work on Kingdom Hearts. Um, because admittedly, last few years have been kind of rough, just in terms of like the mental health and in terms of the motivation. And like I've gone through a lot of very long periods of like depression. And a lot of that came down to our living environment. Our last apartment was really, really not great. And um it felt like we were living in a cave, and that really kind of like fucked with me, I think. And you know, not necessarily to put it all on the apartment. There was a lot of other shit that like I have long since been growing out of and kind of just dealing with mentally, that like has put me in a much better spot now than but I was you know, we were in pretty dire straits for a little bit. I was in pretty dire straits, and so a lot of my energy was being reserved for streaming, because that kind of just felt like the thing I could do. You know, like it really like it really felt like this thing I was singularly capable of for a while, and I knew I was really good at streaming and I can do that for a while, and so I just really like kind of especially in 2024, I really laser focused on that for a little bit. But it got to the point where earlier this year, I had noticed it had been so long since even Subspace, and I started to really feel like nervous, like because I was like, Snapcube as a main channel had kind of been stagnating for a little bit. We had stopped doing highlights as frequently just because the organization of everything got in the way. And like Ellie is the only one working on highlights currently. And so like it was it was a case where like, she's got her own shit that's going on. And like I can't like ask of her to put aside everything for stream highlights just because like, she's got shit to worry about. And so um that was kind of a whole thing, and it's also on me just because like I was not sending her good stuff to work with very often, not even just not that I was sending her less than good stuff to work with. I just wasn't sending her stuff because I felt like my streams for a while were very story focused and very kind of like by the numbers. I wasn't doing very many one-offs and stuff. Anyway, I'm getting so many tangents. You understand? I have a lot to talk about if you can't tell. So essentially, let me reorganize. Yeah, so we hit early this year, and I was like, I was like, it has been, I think, what is it, like 2 years since Subspace, where I realized I was like, dude, that was supposed to be the buffer that gave me another year. And I was like, it has been 2 years since our fake real-time fan dub. And thus it has been even longer since the last like real one, you know? And so I really started to feel kind of overwhelmed about that. And I was like, I might need to just do like an easy one. Because I started to think about how much work Kingdom Hearts was going to be. And I was like, I need to do, like, I might need to, like, announce that we're delaying it and just do something like a fucking Spider-Man 2 or something. Like, just something I can just record and we could just, like pump out with a smaller cast and make that work. You know what I mean? Like, just something. This is, by the way, that was not me confirming Spider-Man 2. I'm just off the top of my head. I'm like, I have a list of games in my mind where I'm like, if I just need to just like pump out one that's like so not low effort, but like relatively, that wouldn't take very much to like be considered worthwhile. That's on the list, I think, for some reason. She's not confirming it. I'm not saying anything. I'm gonna be honest. I have literally no plans in my head right now for a path towards doing Spider-Man 2. It's a concept. It's something that I've thought about. It's something I've thought about, like, what if we did it? How would it look? But I'm always thinking about that stuff. None of that in my mind is like a direct pathway towards it is happening. You know what I mean? It's just it's constantly rotating in there. But anyway, I was like, I was like, maybe we do like a Spider-Man or something just to give us more time to make sure I'm capable of doing Kingdom Hearts. But a couple things happened that made it easier. I think the main thing is that streams started doing pretty well. And I felt a little bit more like I could help bridge the gap by doing good streams and by sort of having that sort of supplement, because part of it was kind of an income thing where I was like, main channel Snapcube's kind of dying a little bit. Not dying, but it's like it was running on fumes for a little while. And but then I started to see more coming in from the streams and from Snapcube 2, and I was like, this in and of itself could be the thing that allows me to take the time I need to make sure Kingdom Hearts happens this year instead of delaying it. So there was that. But then there was also just the fact that, like, I just really needed to see it happen. I needed to see it happen, and I needed to see what it looked like, and it was our best idea at the time. It was really and truly and honestly, I was like, there is no dub project in my mind that would be more immediately appealing than doing Kingdom Hearts. It's just a fact. Anything else that we worked on before Kingdom Hearts at that point would have been a compromise, and that's not good, right? Like I don't want to make that. Um, so I told myself, I was like, okay, I'm going to I'm going to make it work. I'm going to do what I can, and I'm going to shoot for summer. Initially, I was like, I'm gonna lock in 2025 and shoot for a summer release for this thing, no matter what it takes. Obviously, that's funny to say now, given the month that it currently is, but that was enough of a goalpost for me to start working on it and feeling like it was possible, right? So I remember saying at the beginning of the year, I think at least a few times, I was like, we're gonna be working on some shit this year that might cause streaming to take a back seat. And I think that establishing that at the very start of the year, I was like, I'm not doing RPG Hell this year. I'm not doing a bunch of RPG streams. I'm not doing daily streaming this year. I was like, we're pulling back, and I'm gonna focus on other stuff. And you will see me on stream, but I'm gonna focus on other stuff this year, Kingdom Hearts dub included. I really, if I remember correctly, that was the narrative from the beginning. And I'm very happy that I stuck to that because it didn't come out in summer, but it did come out in 2025. That was the ultimate promise. And being able to sort of finally pull that together. And also just like if I'm being so honest, there was also a part of me that was like there's like that anxiety, that social anxiety part of it where I was like, it's been at least like a year or so since I talked to Holly about this crossover, and since I got word from all the RTVS people about if they would be even interested. So like who knows where they're all currently at, because I know they have their own fucking huge projects that they're working on, right? And so I was like, there was that social anxiety part of me that was like, it would be easier to work on something right now that I do not have to bug my friend Holly about. like and I need to stop thinking in that in those terms, right? Because like we're friends. Like and she's just like a wonderful person and loves like making things and hanging out with people and like, and so I had like this straight up this period of like a couple weeks where I was like genuinely agonizing over whether or not it would suck for me to reach out and be like, hey, puts my index fingers together, can we like get people in the Discord and so we can like start working on this? I actually had to hype myself up for that so much, and it's kind of embarrassing in retrospect because like they're all so fucking chill. Like they're all so cool and they've been wonderful to work with, and they're just like very enthusiastic about having fun and making jokes together, and like it's like so it was so not as big of a deal as I felt like it would have been potentially. And so that was really the big hurdle, because the moment I did that, the moment I did that, things started like one after the other, things started falling into place. I was like, hey everybody, welcome. I'm gonna start recording footage for this thing if you want to hang out while I do that sometimes, up to you. But I'm just gonna be working on this in the background and then we can talk about it. And that's what happened. So I would just sit in the Discord for, you know, hours at a time, just recording through the game. I ended up doing that fucking 3 times, by the way. I had to record the full game 3 times because the first 2 times the footage sucked. It was bad footage. There were frame judders everywhere. There were what are they, screen tears. They were all over the place. It was bad footage. The PC ports of Kingdom Hearts do not play well with anything, just so you know. But yeah, so it was funny because I could talk more about this in the commentary, but I guess, I mean, there's not really much to say about this particular thing, and I've already said it, so it doesn't matter. But like the the footage that was used in the final recording was recorded a week prior to doing it for each session. Um it was kind of nuts because we got down to the wire. It was like a week ahead of time. We had a date scheduled for part 1. And I was looking over the footage. I was looking over it, and I'd already edited it together and everything. It was literally sitting in Premiere, like almost fully edited for recording. And I was looking through it, and I was like, "This sucks." I was like, "This footage isn't fucking good, man." And so I told everyone, I was like, "Hey, I'm gonna re-record the entire game this week." And they were like, "Be careful." They said, "Hey, be careful." And I said, "Okay." And I did it. Um, it worked out. It worked out. It honestly, it was not that big of a deal. But it was funny to have to do that. Here's the thing though, is that I feel like, no, I shouldn't say this. I was gonna say something way prematurely. Take a sip of my cold brew. Forget what I just said. So yeah, I feel like this was all in service of a point. Anyway, I guess the ultimate point is just that, like, given how nebulous this project has been in my mind, and given how close it was to almost not happening this year in my head, it's so fucking weird that it's like real and like and we did it. Um, just because it's just been unfolding this year. Like it really just kind of like unfurled itself into reality. Um, I say that as if I didn't put like a shit ton of effort and work and like constant like thought into making sure that it happened like that. Um, this is the first time where coming when it's done and no sooner was kind of slightly a lie. Not intentional, not intentionally, but I say that because what ended up happening is that basically every episode was finished like the day prior, and for the last episode it was fully finished the day of. I was the day that that came out, I was rendering out the final cut of episode 5 that morning. um Now, what I did make sure to do, don't get me wrong, this was not a case where I was making it from scratch every week. I was kind to myself in the sense that I made sure that I did not announce a single release date or even a release window other than 2025 vaguely before I had like every single episode fully cut down for pacing and dialogue. What I did was, after we moved, and I had done, you know, my resting after moving and that whole experience, I I sat down in like September, like mid-September, I think, and went through every episode, and I did all of the first stage of edits, which is literally just like the cutting everything for time and for pacing, rearranging dialogue, making sure every joke is the best possible version of that joke, making sure everybody looks as on top of things and quick-witted as possible, syncing up all the audio to the lip flaps whenever it's possible, you know, all that shit, right? I did that. I sat down in mid-September and I did that for every single episode. And then I looked over everything. I was like, is all this done? Cool. I can announce a release date. Because at that point, the only thing that had to be done from my end was like voice effects and music. And just like final polish, right? Like the credits and the occasional bit of retiming. There were like timing things that changed. And like I did make some more smaller cuts in the weeks between, but yeah. Does that include Joy's captioning? That was started earlier as well. But that one also did just kind of like drift into being somewhat down to the wire, not entirely. I think Joy had the episode 5 captions done, not captions, but the speech bubbles done like maybe like 2 or 3 days before release. So that one got pretty down to the wire, but the other ones were done like at least a week beforehand, if not longer. But yeah. Does that also include Do No Harm the song or just the score of each episode? So when I talk about doing the music in the weeks between, I am talking about just like placing the game score and whatever fun Easter egg music I throw in there. For each, like for the actual scenes of the dub. The theme song was done, obviously it would have had to have been done before episode 1. The full versions of both tracks, I shouldn't say too much because there is going to be a portion of the commentary stream dedicated to the theme songs. But the full versions of the songs were done shockingly recently. like they were complete more recently than you might think. We were working on those for a while. We kind of just had like a day every week for a little bit where we would try to meet up and do a little bit of something. Not day of. No, not day of. But yeah. It was fun though. That God, I can't wait to talk more about the theme songs. That was such a fun experience. Like I've said it multiple times before, literal dream come true collab. It is still insane to me that happened and that I was like it's insane to me that I was allowed to be in that song. Like, oh man, I could talk more about that later because I have a lot of gushing to do about the theme songs, but yeah. Alfred's cameo, yes. Oh my god, I can finally talk about Alfred being Mickey Mouse. I cannot believe the amount of conspiracy theories that can stem from someone not seeing someone for a while. Like, and a lot of it comes from the fact that like people don't really watch the dubs that are not Sonic to the same degree that they watch the Sonic dubs. And so there are a lot of people who have only ever seen the Sonic dubs, and thus they have only ever seen dubs with a very tight and consistent core cast for the most part. And they have only ever seen dubs where I'm there, Jenny's there, and Alfred's there across the entire thing, right? The thing is, we have done multiple dubs before without Alfred. We've done multiple dubs before without many people. Like, dubs are casted on a case-by-case basis. It is very much not a thing where, like, there's a core RTF cast. And like, honestly, it, like, if I had to, like, in my mind, tell you what in my mind is the core RTF cast, it's like straight up, it's like me and Jenny. Because we were there for like the fucking, the Gravity Falls shit. Like, and like, you know, so we're kind of like holdovers from that era, right? But like, you know, Alfred did a couple of those in that day as well, but he was very much like the occasional guest star, whereas like the two of us were there like the whole time. Yeah, RTF isn't a group, it's a concept, exactly. But like people don't think about it that way. Like they think of the cast members as the Snapcube's Real-Time Fandom cast members. And so when someone's missing, the question is not like, I don't know, man. It just becomes a question of where did they go in their minds. And when you ask something like where did they go or why are they not here, it is implied that there is some kind of reason for that, right? Or like they're like it's done with intent to like actively leave someone out. And so the amount of fucking conspiracy theories we were getting about like, dude, Alfred, you know, he's friends with the Lythero crew now. Like he's friends with all of them. Like Penny and Alfred aren't friends anymore. They don't talk to each other anymore. And it's like, you are making shit up. Like I don't know where that comes from, man. Like people literally just go around like making shit up. Alfred and I are friends. Like we've been friends for like so many fucking years. I've been friends with Alfred for like as long as I've been friends with Jenny. Nearly, right? And so like it's crazy to like read that shit, just people making stuff up. And also that it's crazy in and of itself, but it's also crazy knowing the entire time that he is in this dub. He's the surprise. He's Mickey Mouse. Nobody thought about Mickey Mouse. It was there the whole time. It was right in front of you. It was so fucking obvious and you didn't think of it. You're silly. I'm looking at you and I'm going, tisk, tisk, tisk. Why didn't you think of that? I'm actually really happy you didn't think of that because it was really, really cool to see people react to it. But like, yeah, he was Mickey Mouse like very early in the process. We decided it was going to be Alfred. Admittedly, there was a time where I was like gunning for like a larger guest star for that. Just in my mind, I was like, who could we possibly rope in to do a few lines as Mickey Mouse at the very end? Like shoot for the stars. Who could we possibly get? Right? But then the problem becomes if we get like a big name for Mickey Mouse, and if big if, I'm not confirming anything. This is just how we think. We like to think ahead potentially, right? If we ever did another one, Mickey Mouse becomes a much bigger character in future Kingdom Hearts games. He is there, maybe not like a ton of the time, but he is there enough that we would need somebody who was like available, right? If. And so I didn't want to lock us into a situation where we felt like we couldn't do anything else if we wanted to because of like scheduling for this one character or like availability of this one character. There are obviously a million different ways you could possibly like lampshade that kind of thing or make a joke out of it. And like we talked about that, we've had conversations about that, but ultimately I was like, it just became very obvious relatively early on. Like, no, it has to be Alfred. Like, it has to be Alfred because like, one, he would absolutely be down to do another one if, right? But two, like, it's the lore. It's the channel lore, you know? Like having Alfred come in at the very end as like the big Mickey Mouse reveal just feels so right. It just feels so correct that like it honestly felt a little silly that I had thought about it any other way. So yeah, I don't know. It's so nice to just talk about that now because like I've been trying to, if you go back, the way in which I talk about the cast of this dub, I have been trying to be so specific about. People have been trying to assume secret guest voice actors for a very long time. And I have constantly had to like, because you know, people will say things like, oh, I bet they got the Riku VA in this like secretly, like they're holding that to the chest. I bet they got the actual like because he's been streaming a lot recently. I bet they got him for this one. And I have to tell people to temper their expectations on that front while also not lying to them, right? Because I have this weird thing where it's like, I don't want to be caught saying something that is like provably not true, right? So I couldn't say things like the current cast list are the only people in this dub. I couldn't say that. As much as I wanted to just say we've already announced the full cast, I couldn't. And so if you go back and like really read like the specific wording of most of my responses to that kind of stuff, like cast questions, I'm constantly saying things like the people in the cast list were the only people that recorded with us. or like shit like that, like just trying to like throw in little like subtle qualifiers that like don't entirely deconfirm the fact that there's going to be a Mickey Mouse cameo, right? I never said no one else appears in this dub. I always just like would say things like, oh, you know, the episode 1 secret has nothing to do with the cast list, but that's for episode 1. I ain't talking about episode 5, right? Just like Penny Weasel Word Parker. Is that what it's called? Is that what I'm doing? I'll own it. I'll take it. What was the episode 1 secret? I was literally just the Jamie Page collab. I had posted a couple times. I was like, after we put out the second trailer announcing that it was a season and not just a single video, I was like, just so you know, there's one more big fucking surprise about this that I'm like so excited for people to see. And I was talking about the theme song. I was talking about the Jamie Page collab. Because that is like such a big deal to me. Like that's like bigger than any possible other thing I could have revealed. A little sad I got spoiled for Jamie P song, but it was so good. Yeah, I bet. I'm glad it was still a good time. At least you got to hear it on the day of. Yeah, releasing it in parts was also something that I think worked out really, really well. I think that I really think that episodes was like the right call for this. I'm like constantly vindicated because the amount of jokes that I was able to make based off of the placement of the intro and the end credits. Like, I don't know, man. I don't really want to see a version of this dub where episode 5 does not begin with, wait, is that a boat? And then it like immediately cuts to the intro. Like, I'm not interested. You know, I'm not interested in that version of it. I think that it's so necessary for just like the pacing of everything. And you know, we didn't do this so consistently, but you know, we hit like a solid cadence of like about 3 worlds, like 3 individual little vignettes per episode. You know what I mean? Episode 1's a little loose because it's the introduction of everything. And so I guess you can maybe call it like the Dive to the Heart sequence is its own little thing. And then you have Destiny Island and Traverse. And those are like the 3 sort of worlds we go to in that one. But then episode 2, you got Wonderland, Wonderland. I know Deep Jungle's at the end. What the fuck comes in between? Wait, what comes in between Wonderland and Deep Jungle? Olympus, right, duh. Oh my god. I don't know why I couldn't think of that. Yeah, Wonderland, Olympus, Deep Jungle. Then episode 3, you got 100 Acre Wood, Traverse Town again. And then what that ends with fucking, oh, my brain doesn't work, man. My brain does not work. Yes, Agrabah. There you go. Episode 4 gets a little egregious. Isn't Olympus technically optional? I don't think so. I don't think it's entirely optional. I think you have to do the intro to Olympus. Is it? Is it entirely optional? Huh. I had no idea. Um, anyway, but then episode 4, you have Monstro, Atlantica, Halloween Town, and then there's like a little bit of Olympus at the end. So it's like mostly just 3. Most of that episode is Atlantica. I was shocked looking at the run times, and I was like, oh fuck, Atlantica is like 20 minutes of this episode. It's like a solid half of it. It's fine by me because I fucking loved Atlantica. I think that that's like one of my favorites of the whole thing. I love Atlantica so much. When Sophie came barreling in with that Ariel voice, like I sat back in my chair. I put my hands up. I was like, it's cinnamon. It's absolute cinnamon. I'm so ready. And she fucking delivered. I actually think like Sophie, there is not a single character in this dub that I don't think Sophie like fully elevated to like legendary status. All of Sophie's characters were like insane. She like nailed it from frame fucking 1. Sophie nailed it. Kairi, Alice, Jasmine, Ariel, like it is crazy. Fucking Cloud Strife was so funny. Like she did so good. I really think Sophie is like the fucking sleeper hit cast member of this one. For me, just because I was like because like I think Sophie's awesome, and I've obviously I've had very high regard for Sophie for a long time. We've been friends for a while now, and we've done a few dubs together, and she's hilarious. But like, dude, like something about Kingdom Hearts just made her lock in a way that like was so impressive to me. I was very, very, very happy about her performance, which is it, and it's so funny because she almost wasn't in it. Like she asked to like she asked me not to cast her initially, or like she didn't say like, hey, don't put me in this. But initially she was like, I actually think I might sit this one out. Like she initially was like, I might not do this one, just because of the nerves of it, because like she loves Kingdom Hearts, and like it felt like a big responsibility. And she told me, she was like, I'm thinking I'm not gonna be in this one. And I was like, what? I was like, oh, okay, that's fine. If that's what you want to do, then I support it. And then she was like, okay. No, it didn't go down like that exactly. But there was like, I was like, oh, well, I mean, we'll be like really, really, really sad to miss you. But like, obviously, you know, if she like truly didn't want to be in it, I wouldn't have been like, you should be. But like, I also have to be like, so for real, I was kind of banking on her being in it because she's like one of my top 3 like Kingdom Hearts friends, you know? Like I'm like, there's Joy, there's Sophie, and then someone else. I don't know. I think the third one would be Mar at this point, honestly, after he'd played them all and gotten like super into it. Yeah. But yeah, like Sophie and Joy though, in my mind, were like the 2 big like, in my mind for years and years and years, they were like, those are my Kingdom Hearts friends. So like the fact that she was like, oh yeah, I don't think I'm gonna do this one, it like caught me off guard. And I'm so glad she changed her mind, because she has like some of my favorite performances in the entire thing across the board. Like I can't, that scene in episode 5, I said this on Blue Sky, that scene in episode 5 between Holly and Sophie in the cave, where she gives Sora the scalpel, quote unquote. That's been in like my top 5 scenes from the entire dub, like since it was recorded. Because like it's funny, and there's like some good jokes in there. Like I laugh a lot at the whole like, I haven't been truthful with you. You haven't really been anything but asleep. As Sora runs away and cuts her off. Like that stuff like that is really funny. But what really gets to me about that scene in particular aside from it being funny is just how, like, how much they nailed the sort of, like, dreamlike sincerity and cohesiveness that I really think real-time fandub captures at its best. Um, it is my absolute favorite thing in the world when we come out the other end of one of these dubs and it's like, why was that kind of like meaningful? But like, or maybe not immediately, but we can kind of like watch it a few times and then come back to it and like look over and find like certain through lines and themes and stuff in there that like I just love I just love like noticing sincerity and meaning in things that were not necessarily intended to have it. Or like or maybe not weren't intended to have it, but were done out of instinct, if that makes sense. Um and that's kind of the space I really want to exist in with real-time fandom as much as possible. Obviously, it's a funny poop show. And we do a lot of jokes and the main point of it is to get a bunch of friends together and laugh at each other's jokes and do something that makes us all laugh and plays toys. You know, like it's literally I have very much been describing real time fandom recently as like, you know, we're not looking at a game and commenting on it. We're taking the characters and we're playing dolls and action figures with them. And like that's the appeal of it to me is just the taking something that you already love or at least are familiar with and slamming them together and making some new weird thing out of it. With no sort of pretense of what it's going to be. With no expectation of what it's going to be, right? And that's where I think the magic of the improv part of it comes into it is it's like you go in with absolutely no pretense and you come out the other side with like some new fucking blorbos to rotate in your head. You know, like I never really gave much of a shit about Maleficent until now. and I look at her and I'm like, wow, we made her such a tragic thing, huh? like that. I'm so happy about Maleficent. It's so funny. I had a lot of like conflicting back and forth opinions about Maleficent, especially the closer we got to release, and I realized it would be in front of the eyes of like thousands of people. And I was like, okay, I have to really like wrestle with what it looks like we did here because it was not because the thing about Maleficent is that I think that like her big thing is that she's insincere. And that is what causes a lot of her grief. And I can get more into that. We can talk more about like character shit in like the commentary, but it like really was fun to see that kind of like unfold because I had to lean into a lot of like I had to make her suck so much. And that was really, really fun from like a performance aspect. But also it was very interesting to sort of think about how it could potentially be perceived. And so I'm glad that for the most part, now that episode 5 is out, people seem to generally be on the same page as me. Which is that like she's a freak and she sucks. But maybe not for the reasons why you initially like thought. And so it was just very interesting to rewatch episode 5 especially and like how even in the moment like after the Maleficent boss fight everyone's just kind of like so like where do we stand with like the morality of this one? Like cuz I think like at the time everyone was on the same page that like it's funny that she sucks and then this happens because Riku gets to set a very, very hard boundary with her, by stabbing her in the chest. Valid. But like, it was really funny because I had kind of, for like, in all my nerves about how Maleficent could potentially come across in the most uncharitable ways, like hearing that boss fight go down and then and then Riku comes back and he's like, okay, not even I know how to unpack that one. We're just gonna like, we're just gonna move on. I think it's really funny and I think it's very real because I think that that sort of solidifies Maleficent as just this like this fucking entity that you can project a lot of like examination onto by the end of it. And that was not at all my intention. I think the thing that eventually turned Maleficent into that is just the fact that I was playing her and I wanted her to be villainous, right? Like I wanted her to be like I wanted her to be a villain just because that was fun. That was a fun idea and I had never really done that. And so I was doing that and I was trying to like come up with some kind of thing or some kind of like vague, and I had to just like talk in like vague evilness for a while trying to figure out what the fuck her deal was, right? And then the scene at the end of episode 3 happens and it's like, oh. Okay. And then in between session 1 and 2, I had to really think about what her deal was. And I basically decided very early on, I was like, so her deal is that she actually doesn't have a plan. She is trying desperately to get as many people as possible to hang out with her and pay attention to her, but in a very insincere way, with the expectation that like she has more up her sleeve than she does. She's making this shit up as she goes along, as she says at the end. She's very much like she wants to be friends with someone. She sees someone who's like very open to being friends with something that normally to most people is off-putting, Riku in the Storm. And she's like, oh fuck, an opportunity. Right? And so her and Riku and all of her weird fucking brothers are just like finding excuses to hang out. And so, yeah, and like, yeah, exactly. What I did was I channeled that initial energy of like, I don't know why she's evil, but I'm trying to like come up with it as I vaguely prattle on random evil terms and stuff. And then that just became my real actual making that shit up as I went along became her character. Which was really, rubs my hands together. That was very convenient for me because I think a version of this where I had to actually go back and justify any of the things she said about like needing Sora's smile or like having to pull him out of the Winnie the Pooh world and like all of that. If I actually had to like try and tie that together, it would have been a tough time, I think. And so leaning into the anxiety of it and just making the scattershot improvised nature of it like fully canon, I think that worked, and I think it created a very interesting tragic character. I don't know, man. I'm very happy with Maleficent. I think that like I think early on it was like during one of the Half-Life streams I talked about like I can't announce who, or no, I don't think I specifically said Maleficent. I think I was like, there's one more character that I play aside from Goofy that I don't want to reveal, and I'm so excited for people to find out. And I held that close to the chest until episode 1 dropped. And people realized as they were watching that I played Maleficent. And that was really, really cool. I didn't say shit about it until episode 1 was happening, and it's like, oh fuck, Penny's Maleficent. And that was really fun for me because she's my favorite performance in the entire thing. I think that like I think Goofy I'm mostly satisfied with Goofy. I think I got some good Goofy lines in there, but the problem is that Goofy does not have a ton to do throughout most of the game, cutscene wise, right? And so it's kind of the same for Donald. And so Wayne and I had a very similar problem throughout the whole thing, where most of what we are able to contribute is like interjections, right? And those are very, very difficult to get right in a real-time fandom. Because like the assumption of interjecting with something with like a one-liner is that you have anything of worth to say and you need to say it immediately. But the problem is, in a real-time fandom, that concept is reversed. And so instead of having something really important to say and you interject with it, the game tells you right now you need to have something important to say, come up with it. Right? And so, like, it is weird. And so what ends up happening is that with Goofy, I end up leaning into a lot of like, I called it recently on Tumblr Marvelisms, where the most immediate thing that comes to mind when I have to say something is like, oh fuck, what's going on? Oh fuck, what the fuck? You know, like the subspace, or not the subspace, the Bozo dubbed over bit, where it's like the most like raw, like untrained version of improv, where it's like, what's this? I'm not supposed to be here. Or like, what the hell? Like, so there's a few bits of Goofy where I'm like, I could have maybe locked it in a little more and had something of more value to say. But I do think overall, I am satisfied with Goofy. I got to crash out. Yeah, I got to crash out as Goofy a lot, which was funny, because it's, you know, that's not Goofy. Goofy doesn't do that, and so having Goofy yell at a bunch of people, because everyone is very annoying. It's very fun. The bit in episode 2, the Cheshire Cat bit, was a very fun. I got to do like per session. I got one line as Goofy that like bewildered the call, and that really made me happy, because in session 1 it was the Cheshire Cat bit where Goofy has not said anything the entire time that this fucking cat is on screen. Like, I don't think there's a single line from Goofy for the entirety of Cheshire Cat's role. And then Cheshire Cat says "covered in poo" twice in 2 different rhymes. And having Goofy be entirely silent until Cheshire Cat says that twice in a row and like breaks over it is so fucking funny. Like, it's like it is so funny. And I think honestly it's especially funny because it kind of came from a real place a little bit. Like, just a little bit where I was like, dude. Like, I genuinely was like, what are we doing? Like, you can't say that twice in a row. And so I just let it out. I was just like, I fucking can't with the covered in poo rhyme. Like, I can't do it, man. And so I kind of I took that little twinge and I amplified it as Goofy, because there was a speech bubble on screen and I realized, oh fuck, I need something important to say. Okay, let me take this and just really really lean into it. So that's really funny in and of itself. But then, yeah, yeah, the fucking chalk zone bit again. No, I'm sure Jenny would be extremely pleased to know that this was my thought process. So, uh, session 2 was one that I'm also proud of because it was a little bit like it was a little bit more of like a structured joke as opposed to just me yelling at someone to shut up. So I'm glad that we got two like goofy bewilderment moments where one of them was like me like just leaning into like vulgarity and then the other one was like a weirdly like I don't want to call myself clever, but it's like a joke, you know? It's like the last time I cheated on something, it went great. The only thing I lost was my son. Like that's a joke. That's like a structure that has like a structure to it. Um, and dropping that line in session 2 and like hearing the fucking call go like, whoa! I love it. I rub my evil hands together. Were you nervous releasing the teaser between the two recording sessions? Not really. I was mostly when it came to releasing the trailer, I was mostly excited. That trailer was made in less than a day after we finished recording. I think in less than 12 hours after we finished recording session 1 because I was so excited to finally tell people that we were collabing. Um yeah, I don't think it was very like it wasn't like nerve-wracking for me at that point. The most nerves that I felt about the project as a whole were when honestly, the worst I ever felt in terms of nerves was when it was like a few days before an episode would come out. Mar said you did it nearly immediately. Yeah, no, I did. It was genuinely like we got off recording and it was like, um, so my brain. I'm like tired. Can you tell? I'm like very tired. I'm but it's like a fun. It's like mostly a fun like happy tired. I get to just kind of chill now. But I my brain is running at half speed this past week, so you'll have to forgive me. But like, oh shit! Oh my god! Wait, I just noticed. Oh Emma, hi. Wait, I'm scrolling. Wait, I'm scrolling up. Oh my god, hi! It's so good to see you. Congratulations. Oh, oh, I'd love to catch up. I'd love to catch up soon. It is so good to see you. This is so fun to listen. Thank you, thank you. Yeah, we're talking. We're talking. I just did a huge project. Oh my god, I could talk to you about it later, but like, fuck. Should I drop that big old news? You just wanted to say hi, Lizzie. I love you. See you, chat. Yeah, no, it's so fine. I was thinking about you, and I was thinking about that recently. I was like, I should check in because I remember that you told me earlier, and I felt so bad because I was like, dude, I got so distracted this year. It's been crazy. No, thank you so much. Yeah, I hope you're doing so well. I hope everything's been going good. Let's catch up soon. Seriously. Yeah, it's a bit 2025 is crazy style. Um, yeah, I'll try to remember to reach out, and if I don't, please forgive me, and also bug me, please. I'm begging you. Um, but yeah, it's always nice to catch up with a friend. Um, yeah, but yeah, what was I saying? So, oh yeah, the days before an episode would come out were like the parts in which I would get the most nervous about it because it's like about to be real and I'm like finishing each episode and I'm trying so hard to like make it as good as possible while also in my head trying to figure out all of the individual things that somebody could have a problem with. Just automatically, just subconsciously, I'm just like, oh, this part doesn't land as much. Like maybe we like needed to do something different here. Like maybe I needed a different like musical beat here, or like maybe the audio balancing is too bad at this part. Like there's like leading up to the episodes, there's always like these these things that just start to stand out more and more. And also given that I've been working on this whole project for Neptune, thank you so much for gifting a sub. I appreciate it. Uh, given that I had been working so long on this project and I had seen the footage so many times, uh obviously it starts to like kind of like stop working on me a little bit. Like I still think everything's hilarious, and now especially after it's all done and I'm able to like relax a little bit, I can still like quote stuff from it and laugh and like find stuff actively funny, but like dude, um the part of like making a comedy series where you've seen the inner workings and you've seen how the sausage is made for so long that the comedy stops hitting like it did the first time, but no one else has seen it yet. It's like, oh, it's like a weird place to be, and it's very nerve-wracking. Because it's very hard to gauge properly whether the reason it doesn't feel as funny is because you've seen it so many times or because it's actually not funny. And sometimes I would find it really funny when watching the like the not the raw but like the cut down edited version without like music and stuff. And then I would spend a day like adding all of my music and sound effects and stuff to it. And then after I had put all of that work in it and like added the ambience and voice effects and stuff, only then would it start to not hit so good for me. Oh my god. Actually the worst feeling in the world, because then at that point my feeling is like, "Oh fuck, I ruined it." Like that, like that's my mindset is like, "Oh no." Like I it was better when it was like it was better when it wasn't finished. I started to feel that way about okay, about episode 4 especially. I don't know what it was, but the experience of editing episode 4 was like harrowing for me. Um because like every almost everyone in that dub agreed when it was recorded episode 4 is the best one. So many of us were like, I don't know what happened, but the back to back of Atlantica to Halloween Town was like, holy shit, this is like the best one. Everyone like locked in so hard for those two, and everyone in the group for the longest time was like, episode 4 is our best one. But in spite of that, when I was editing it, I got to the end of the edit. I had added all the music and everything. And I was just like weirdly unsatisfied with it in a way that I had not felt with like episode 3 and earlier. And that really scared me. And I think the reason that happened is at least partially because I was just burned out by that point. It had been 4 weeks of just nonstop like finishing these episodes every week. And so I was getting really burned out, and I was getting a lot of tunnel vision, and I was just like focusing in on my mistakes and the things that I wish had gone better. And so um it like really scared me. And it was so bad for episode 4 especially because it lingered even after the premiere happened. Like because usually I would start to feel somewhat nervous about an episode, and then we would premiere it, and the premiere would go so well and people would love it so much that by the end of the premiere I was like, I don't even know what I was worried about. It was great. It was fine. But with episode 4, for some reason, I did in fact have this like lingering sense of like, oh no, I don't know if that one was good. Even though like people are losing their shit the entire time. And like I'm looking at the chat, everyone's loving it. Everyone in the group is telling me, dude, this episode is the best one, yada yada. But like I remember telling Sophie, I was like, I just have this weird feeling of like dissatisfaction. It's gone now, by the way. I've circled all the way back around to like adoring episode 4. I think it's great. But like, yeah, it was just like a weird moment and it was very scary. And then I kind of had that with episode 5 as well, where like, um, I was really, 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 really obsessed with like just making sure that 5 landed because I think that like, I personally think that 5 doesn't have as many like big, like standout comedy vignettes, but I do think that it makes up for it in scale and sincerity. And I think that those two things really help counterbalance it. It's similar to how I feel about episode 1, where I love episode 1. I've gotten a few people here and there saying like, yeah, episode 1 was kind of a rough start, but I really started to feel it episode 2 onward. But like, even though I get that, I really can't like personally feel that way because I adore episode 1. I think episode 1 is so good. And I think that one, I mean, I think it's still really, really funny, but also I think that like it does such a good job of like setting the tone and like giving you the foundation for episode 5 to deliver on more of the sincere side of it. And then, you know, everything in the middle is silly poop dub times, right? Like it's all like episode 1 and episode 5 kind of bookend the project with like this feeling of dreamlike sincerity that I talked about earlier. And so I love episode 1 to death. And I really wanted to make sure that episode 5 delivered on that. And so I made sure I did a lot to just try and like lock that in. But it's hard because there's only so much you can do with something that was recorded in May. And the whole conceit of it is that it's done improvised and what you record is what you get for the most part. I will say maybe something I should save for the commentary and I'll save the details, but like I will say there's a reason why there's a reason why I have never uh advertised this particular project as recorded in one take. Now, I will clarify, we did not do any like big sweeping re-records or anything like that. But there are a few pickups in there, I will admit. And honestly, most of them are from me because I've been in the dungeon with this series for months now, right? And so I'm able to like go in and see all of the fucking inner workings and like pick apart the plot progression and all that shit. And so I get to see like little moments where something was said that could potentially like be a little smoother if exactly one line were changed, right? And often I have to make do with the footage I already have because I don't want to ask a ton of people to come back and like record individual little pickup lines and stuff. But like the thing is, if it's something that I said that could be, you know, done a little better, it's easy for me to do that for my own project because this is top priority and I can just immediately do it, right? And I tried very very hard to intentionally limit myself to the point where it was not like insincere, if that makes sense. And there's a lot that slipped through or no or there's a lot that like if I let myself go willy-nilly with it and just re-record every line that I was dissatisfied with, like there would be a lot of pickups. But like there were a few lines where I don't think I said anything of value. And it either kind of stepped on someone else's bit a little bit, or it was an opportunity for me to add to the bit that I didn't take. So I think I want to say there's maybe like in the whole project, I think there's like let me see. It was 1, 2, 3, 4 technically, I want to say, yeah, there's like 3 or 4 of my lines that are like that are pickups that I either re-recorded to fix like an error, or I just rewrote and I just slipped in there to like make a scene better. One of them is actually much larger than the other ones, and I'll point it out in the commentary. That's so small in the grand scheme of the entire project. Yeah, no, and I tried to make sure it was not too many. And I'm not even the only one who did it. There was like I know Sophie has talked about almost doing like a pickup for Kyrie's blunder in episode 1, where she thought Kyrie was Sora for a second and like didn't say anything. We almost did a pickup for that one. But the thing is, the classic thing happened where a blunder happens, people find it funny, and then another character responds to it in a way that sort of elevates it. And so I personally was like, no, Sophie, we need to keep the mistake in there because Riku directly responds to it. And for like pickups that I did personally, I very intentionally made sure it was lines that were not directly responded to. So that I was not like stepping on anyone else's bit. And that was kind of the general rule. Which is like, yeah, I just wanted to make sure that like I just wanted to make everybody look as good as possible. That's really the whole thing. That's why these things are edited as meticulously as they are, is so that we can, I just want to make everybody look good. So there were a couple of those, and that was fun. That was sort of a a precedent that I wanted to set, that like we are allowed to do that kind of thing, because these are edited videos. And I don't want to have it be established that we're like not being true to the format, but I do want to take advantage of the fact that we are not live streaming these, and we can put a lot into making sure that they're the best versions of themselves that they can be. So I think that like thinking of the improv as like the foundational majority of what is being done, and then we can sort of add little bits and bobs to it when necessary to really send it home, I think is the way I want to think about it moving forward. And so I made it a point to not advertise that this one was done in one take, because technically not every line was a take one. And we had some lines re-recorded for mic quality, which will be very fun to talk about, because nobody has there is a character there is a character in this dub that I am shocked no one has pointed out has mic quality and audio quality that differs drastically mid-line, like in between words, the mic quality changes. Nobody has noticed a single fucking thing. And like, it's so goddamn funny. And also, none of you have guessed it. None of you have guessed properly. You're all wrong. You're all incorrect. You are all wrong. it's like not a single fucking person has noticed. And it has cracked me up. I'm not going to say who it is yet. We'll talk about it at the commentary. But like, yeah, it's really fucking funny, because to me it is so obvious. But like we had a couple re-records for mic quality, and then we had a few re-records for like replacing lines that contradicted later quote unquote plot developments. But yeah, that should be fun to go into. Here's a question, I think. Hold on. What lines did you have the hardest time not quoting? It's hard to say off the top of my head. I'm gonna be honest. So many of them have been rattling around in my brain for, I almost said years, plural. Yeah, I don't know. My brain don't work right now. I'll just say all of them. One of the fan favorites, shooting and fucking are the same thing, is definitely on that list though. Um, it cat it young. You described Sophie's "you're so big" bit before the dub came out. I love that one. I love that one so much. That's right. You're the biggest soldier we've ever had, and you're gonna do such good fighting, and you're so big. That's like one of my favorite lines in the entire thing. It cracks me up every time because it's such a Sophieism, and I love the Sophie speech patterns. Like I get such a fucking kick out of that. And she does it so much and it cracks me up. And hearing her come in with like such a defined character as like grizzled war vet Ariel. Not even really war vet. She's like in the war. Uh Having her come in as like war torn Ariel, but also just still have like those blatant Sophieisms. Um it's so endearing to me. It's like so fucking endearing to me, and it makes me laugh so much. That one, and I need you to kill all the enemy combatants as big and sword and strong as you can. Like those two lines just make me smile so much. I love them so much. Adore when someone's vocal mannerisms or ticks bleed through their fan-dub characters. Generally some of my favorite shit in the world. Me too. Me too. It's definitely a big part of the appeal. Like I love when Wayne's Donald just turns into Wayne. Like another Atlantica bit with the fucking like, yeah, we gotta throw garbage at everyone. And then Ariel's like, throwing garbage ain't gonna cut it, Private. This is life or death, don't you understand? And then Wayne just comes in, all of your weapons look like pieces of trash, so I don't know what to tell you. Like that's just him. Like that's just him fucking coming through in that line, and it's so funny to me. I love it. I have to once again stress how much I fucking love Wayne Donald. It's like everything I ever dreamed of. What grenade? What? That is an all-time favorite of mine. The grenade bit, all-time favorite. Genuinely so funny. Even without the hard cutoff that I did in the post edit, like it was one of the best jokes from that episode to me, even in the raw. Cause like here's the thing. That is where Halloween Town ended, even in the raw cut. Like that's why everybody's fucking laughing, and you know, you see the ship flying to Olympus, and Holly's talking about like, I guess I learned a lot about safe explosive disposal. Like that is because when Mike goes, what grenade? What? The scene faded to black in the raw cut. So like that was still just the end of Halloween Town. I just added the flashbang to really like accentuate it, but even in the raw cut, having that be the final line of Halloween Town fucking like destroyed me. It's so good. It's so funny. When is the grenade gonna blow up? What grenade? What? It's so good. Gur was so good as Oogie Boogie. I'm sad we didn't get more of them. Yeah, it's there's not a lot to work with, unfortunately, in KH1 especially. Yeah. Halloween Town is great. Halloween Town is so good. Yeah, the big ass house bit. That was fun for me because I got to really tee up the. I'm happy I got to tee up the bit where it immediately crumbles. Cause I was like, I was like, I don't want to skip the Oogie Boogie house. But I also don't want to have to force my good friend Holly to have to justify why Sora is jumping around in this house fighting purple goo. You know, like I didn't and like we were already kind of pushing time on episode 4. That's like the longest one that isn't the finale. And so I was like, I'm just cutting out the I was like, I'm just cutting out the goo and he's just gonna immediately fall down. I was like, I was like, it'll be so funny if he just becomes a house and then immediately like dies. That's like a classic RTF joke. Is the boss fight cutscene happens and then we don't include the boss fight and then the boss immediately dies for some random fucking reason. It's such a classic. And so knowing that that was happening, I got to do the whole like, yeah, he doesn't look structurally sound. I think I'll give it like 5, 4, 3. And then I say something about like, I genuinely don't know. In hindsight, I don't know what the fuck I meant by, you know, that happened because there wasn't a Christmas tree in there. Like, I don't know why I said that, but I kept it in because it kind of compelled me a little bit. I was like, what did I mean by that? I really was like, I really like had to really wonder to my, whoa! Legendary, thank you so much for the 25 subs. Holy shit. Thank you. I really appreciate that. Goofy's on the side of Christmas. I think that's kind of what I was going for, is like the fact that like the whole thing was about the war on Christmas, and so like Goofy was commenting on like the consequences of removing Christmas iconography from your life or something. Like, I don't know. I guess that's kind of what it just feels like, really like weirdly I don't know, just like weirdly vague for a line that I said with such conviction. Cause I said that shit. Like I got like close to the mic for that. I don't know, man. It was, I was like, I must have like had like a vision from heaven when I said that. Cause it sounded like I really thought that was something. And I guess people liked it. I guess I liked it because I kept it in. I think maybe I was just hoping someone could like reveal to me what I meant in hindsight. You were granted some sort of boon. Yeah, I don't know, man. It was funny though. You should have said it twice. Yeah, that's really what I learned, is when saying a line the first time doesn't get a reaction. There are so many bits in this dub where the Penny says a line twice, gets a laugh, happens, and I get a little embarrassed about it because I feel like I leaned on it a lot. But it's funny. Well, okay. I'm also especially happy that I was able to land that with "what about a crossword," because dude, I cannot fucking believe that sentence the first time exited my mouth. I cannot believe it. Like I actually cannot believe, because Goofy wasn't even talking. He didn't even say anything in that cutscene. It was just like this weird like word association moment, and like my brain, like I've had to really come to terms recently with the fact that like my brain loves like word association humor, and it makes me sweat. Because I'm just like, it's nothing. Like, what do you mean, what about a crossword? That doesn't fucking mean anything. And so I said it, right? I said it in the moment. Nobody responds, right? And I'm thinking, okay, well, the camera just cut away. Let's lean into the fucking shame of it. I think is what makes it so funny, is because you can tell the second time I'm saying it, I'm smiling because I realize that like, dude, I just said the dumbest thing in the world. Let's act like I really believe in it. Let's really let's become a little bit desperate to land it, right? And I think that that's like part of what makes the repeat line jokes so funny, is because like it's sort of me like playing an exaggerated version of myself and my most like shameful comedic instincts. And so I get to like lean into the fact that I want people to laugh so bad at like the dumbest shit. so so what I actually did was I do the thing I usually do for a bit like that, where part of the joke is how quiet it is, where I went in and for the edit, I took out everyone else's audio for that shot of just like the camera lingering at the like the surface. I muted everyone in that scene for the few seconds before I say it a second time, just to make sure there is not a single audible reaction or sound. Just to really accentuate the desperation of what about a crossword? it's it's awesome. I love it. I love it so much. I do that particular number a lot where yeah, I just like remove everyone's audio. Is one of you named Yuffie? I'm so honored. Because Scorpy loves the Yuffie joke. I don't even know why, but like he literally made a point to mention afterward how much he fucking loves and I'm Yuffie, and it made me smile so much. And then it became especially clear because he keeps referencing it as Sid. And it makes me very happy that like that landed that much with someone. And I'm Yuffie. Did you consider making Donald's voice unrecognizable like the real Donald? Yeah, we talked about it. We considered it. There were a lot of options on the table for how to do Donald. But for me, what was really important was, one, high priority was getting Wayne in that role for the main trio dynamic type thing that I wanted to have going. And also I wanted to give everyone as easy of a time as possible responding to anything that Donald says. When it comes to real-time fandub, my job as like the project organizer, and this is why, you know, I always put down like organized and edited by Penny Parker, because the organization is actually a much larger part of it than I think people would assume. My job is to remove as many barriers as possible in between someone being able to be their most like quick-witted self in those dubs, right? And so this includes things like just making sure the characters who are going to be talking the most are like audible. and I think that like having Donald be incomprehensible would be funny for maybe one episode, but then the problem would be that it does actively hamper anyone's ability to properly interact with him as a character when doing improv that we cannot control the pacing of. And us not being able to control the pacing of when we respond to something is really, really important to keep in mind when organizing these things, because that genuinely affects people's ability to respond at all. You know, like it's already nerve-wracking enough to not know when you are about to talk. Like that is already in and of itself such a huge barrier for people when they're new to the show, that like I did not want it to be a case where like on top of that you also have the added thing of like one of our main characters is inaudible, you know, like illegible. And so like for characters where the joke is that you can't fucking understand them, they have to be like one-off characters, or it has to be like a scene. You know what I mean? Like it has to be so contained, because we definitely have those characters like Eeyore. Scorpy's Eeyore was literally that. Like that was that was the big for us in the call, at least. That was the big joke with Eeyore, because we couldn't understand a single fucking word he was saying. And it turns out that the things he was saying were really funny, but nobody could understand him. And so for us in the call and for the rest of the characters, the joke is just like, what is this guy saying? But then, you know, we get to the captioning part of it, we get to the speech bubble part, and we get to write down lines like, "I've now been stuck with the burden of hope," which is really funny. And yeah, and it's also why Ursula, well, you know, Ursula was drowning in episode 1. She was out of the water, you know, that's why she sounded like that. That's not actually what she sounds like. I think a lot of people were very excited about the idea that the full episode would be Ursula sounding like that, but I'm very happy that's not the direction that Balb went in. Just because like what he did end up doing was so much better. Absolutely killed it. Why is a little girl so concerned about war? Have you tried dating? Well, let me tell you, shooting and fucking are the same thing. Insane. Absolutely insane. Wayne's Donald sounds better than the official for me. The Donald Duck voice is classic, and it does bring me a lot of joy, but I will say, I have personally, over the past year, become very, very attached to this particular cadence of Donald. Because I do just feel like it is the way Donald would talk if he was not a duck, you know? But I also really like how Wayne still does the like he does like he still does like the Donald Duck things, but it's like you can actually understand him in between those. It makes me so happy, man. He did such a good job. Yeah, he's like kind of cute with it. It's like so fun. And there's just like so many little interjections that Wayne does that like that just stick in my brain forever. Well, her life was pointless and now she is dead. Like fucking okay, one of the most like underrated lines of episode 4. And this is definitely some of my affinity for like Marvelisms coming through a little bit is I really love the bit where Sora's like, is there, I don't want to live in the medicine commercial kingdom anymore. Is there a way to unenlist from the army? I'm starting to have second thoughts about all this. Ariel's like, nope, you're with us for life now. And then just in the background, Wayne is just like, Sora, we have a spaceship. Like, that like cracks me the fuck up every single time. I love that one so much. I love Sora, we have a spaceship. It makes me so happy. And there's like a lot of little lines like that from Donald that just really, really make me smile. They put the happiness in my smile. Which is also something that I've been saying a lot because of Holly. And specifically because of that line from episode 5. He puts the happiness in my smile. I think we should listen to whatever he says. My favorite line is, but it's hopeless. That girl Jasmine will never love me because I don't know how to count. Yeah, Mike is fucking hilarious. It was crazy. Like, all of the RTVS members came in, and it's like, individually, one by one, it's like, oh, this is like the funniest person on the planet. I see. Okay. They all did so fucking good. It drives me insane. I'm like genuinely so honored that they even wanted to do this, much less like put that much into it. It was so fun. What was up with Clayton and Winnie the Pooh? I feel like that's something we can talk about in the commentary. I know Wayne already mentioned that like he had no fucking idea that Sora was going to die at the end of episode 2 and that Winnie the Pooh was going to be next. Well, I think he had some idea that Winnie the Pooh was going to be next. Because I had told them ahead of time which worlds were featured in which episode, just for, you know, organization, just being transparent. But I think that the happy accident was the fact that he individually stumbled upon the concept of when characters die, they go to the 100-Acre Wood. I think it's because earlier he says something like, I was going to shoot that thing and send him to the next world. Like, I'm gonna hit you into next week kind of phrasing. I assume is what he initially meant by that, but then like maybe thought to himself like, next world, oh, that's funny. What if he was trying to send them into literally the next world? That being Winnie the Pooh, because he knew that the next episode was going to start with Winnie the Pooh. And so then individually he stumbles upon like the fact that like Clayton is trying to shoot them into the 100-Acre Wood because they are animals and he wants to make animals for Pooh to be friends with. Not knowing the entire time that we had already planned the bit where Sora gets fucking tossed 100 feet into the air by Kerchak and lands on the ground and doesn't get up. And it was just like the happiest accident of all time that happened in that way. Mar lost it when that was revealed. Yeah, well, it's because we had talked about doing that joke. And I don't think Mar understands how willing I am to fuck with these a little bit. Because like I don't think he fully like, he clearly didn't expect me to actually keep the bit where Sora lands and dies, because you can hear his reaction to that in the video. Him literally just screaming, I can't believe you fucking did this. So good. Puts a big smile on my face. But also, I was watching his reaction to episode 5, and like him being shocked that I kept in the Ballad of John and Yo at the end of the Neverland section. I was like, yeah, man, that was so funny. I was like, that's like the way you end that. I don't know why I wouldn't have. It's perfect. The progression of I'm always afraid to just silence, and then the Ballad of John and Yo. Really, really good. Really good shit. The Beatles names were killing me. It's like insane. and I was watching his own commentary over it, and I didn't even know this part, but apparently the reason he did that is because like is because he forgot that the other like children were not in Neverland in KH1. And so he was expecting there to be other kids to be the other members of the Beatles, but it was just Wendy the entire time. And so it's just like this unfinished joke where it's just Wendy McCartney. And then he realized a little too late that no one else was going to show up. And so he just started fucking listing off song titles. Oh, I like feel bad because I'm like, man, I cannot imagine the sheer panic of it. But it does make me laugh. Welcome to the ship of Kid Nation. I'm Wendy. We have to push this big thing so we can get out of here. Penny, can you do a Mickey voice? Tune into the commentary stream on Tuesday. You just might find out. Oh man. I'm gonna be honest, y'all. I've had Final Fantasy XIV open this entire time. But I haven't been doing anything. I'm just running around in Gridania. I very intentionally did not advertise this stream as a game stream because I was like, I don't want to be like unable to sit and talk about this for as long as I want to. Also, hi Alfred. Hi. Hello. Hi. Hello, hello. It's so good to see you. I was just talking earlier about how funny it is now that people were just like making shit up about us not being friends anymore. I was talking about that much earlier. That was like an hour ago maybe, but um so funny. I'm so happy. I'm so happy we could talk about it. Yeah, it's sad. It's so sad. We hate each other now. It's crazy. Yeah, just lying. Just lying to fill in the gaps of a weird sort of assumption that like someone not being around for a little bit means something must have happened to like cause that. Oh man. I do need to do my dailies. For the stream today, I mainly just wanted to get on and just talk. I've missed streaming. I've missed streaming so bad. Like truly I've it has been rough to like not have the time or the energy to get on and hang out. Um like this is so nice. Like, I miss this so bad. I've been in the mines and it's been nuts. And it feels really good that I'm able to like come back and start doing this again. So I wanted tonight to just be like whatever, you know? Just come in and like maybe talk about the dub. Give me a nice solid new like dub post-mortem video to put on 2.5, you know? Um but then I was also like I was thinking about playing a little bit of a game tonight. I know Kirby Air Riders just came out. And I have played a little bit of that already. I've mostly just been doing the solo mode, which is like really fun. Red Dragon in stream. Nah. You finally just got mounts in FF14? Fuck yes. Love that. I want to hop in that, but sadly it's too expensive right now. Yeah. I'm sorry to hear it. The state of video games is not ideal right now. Overall. Oh shit, speaking of, oh my god. I haven't streamed since long before the new fucking Valve announcements. Oh, I can talk about that. Oh my god, I can talk about that. Okay. I am so ravenously excited for every single thing that Valve just announced hardware-wise. I get to talk about controllers again, baby. Let's fucking go. So yeah. So if you somehow didn't see, Valve, the creators of Steam, Half-Life, Portal, all that, Steam Deck, they very recently announced 3 new pieces of hardware. Many of them, actually really all of them, highly anticipated for a very long time by different communities, right? They announced them all at once, and they said they are all dropping early 2026. Now, this is like 5 birthdays for me, all in one. Because so many of these things are things that I have been trying to make happen for myself in one way or another. The Cube, the Steam Machine, the living room gaming PC that with the console interface. Oh man. I have talked about like wanting to lock in my living room PC gaming setup for such a long time, and I did have a living room PC that I'd used to play like PC games on my living room TV. But the thing is, I haven't had it for a while because Joy's PC earlier, like very, very shortly after we moved, Joy's graphics card in her PC um caught on fire. And so, she has to be able to stream and stuff. And so what we did was we took the living room PC that I used for gaming. Yeah, this happened a while back. I mean, like very literally, like flames. It caught on fire inside the case. It was scary, but no, no harm done except to the thing itself, right? So that was good. But like, damn. Um. Anyway, what we had to do to get her back up and running as soon as possible, because I was like, well, yeah, I don't want her to be in a situation where she can't like work. And so I we took the living room PC and we just swapped out the SSDs. And so the PC I was using for living room gaming is now her computer that she's been using for everything, right? It's just in her office now. So I am happy that I was able to help in that way, but also I've been a little sad because I'm like, I don't have a PC in the living room anymore. I can't do my fun living room gaming. And so the idea of the Steam Machine is so perfect for me because I'm like, I was wanting to toy around with the idea of like doing a mini form factor PC build at some point anyway, and like installing SteamOS on it. I was literally like, I was getting to the point where I was like, I really hope Valve does this, but if they're not going to, I might just do it anyway because I can. And so, them announcing it and it looking as good as it does, is making me very, very happy. What would you say the point of the Steam Machine is, given it's supposedly not going to be able to run high-end games on the level of an Xbox or PS5? Isn't that the whole point of having a console? I think the thing is that I don't think that's actually true. I think it is going to be like more capable than some people are dooming about it. It's like within spitting distance at least of like a PS5. Maybe not a PS5 Pro, but the thing is the PS5 Pro isn't even all too impressive from like a raw power standpoint. It's just got a lot of extra like upscaling tech and stuff to really bridge the difference. It is more powerful from just like a raw like raster performance perspective. But it's not as big of a upgrade as you might want from like a thing that costs nearly $1,000. But yeah, the Steam Machine, the thing about it, it's only got 8 gigs of VRAM. Yeah, that's the big thing. And I will admit, it's not ideal. But the thing about it is that it is going to be far and away better than what a majority of people on Steam and like using Steam currently have access to. And on top of that, it is also still a custom chip. And I think that's the thing that might make some of the difference when it comes down to it. Because they have mentioned they were able to do some custom stuff with the silicon that eked out a little more performance than you would get just from buying equivalent stock hardware, right? Why can't a customer just put more VRAM into it? It's not the same thing as like VRAM is not the same thing as like the RAM sticks that RAM and VRAM are two kind of separate things. VRAM is graphics based. It's like integrated into the graphics hardware that you're using. So like when you get a GPU for your computer, it comes with a set amount of VRAM, just like on the chipset. It's not like you can't just like plug it in. It's a weird thing. This is the kind of minutia you have to get into with PCs. But yeah, so basically, I think it's not going to be like a powerhouse, but based on what we've seen, the ability to reach even like 1440p 60 to 4K 60 games, when you take into account upscaling, I think is going to be more than enough for a lot of people, depending on the price. And I think the price is what really makes the difference here, because if this thing is like over $1,000, which I don't think it will be, but if it's like over 1,000, I think, yeah, that's a huge mistake. And I think having only 8 gigs of VRAM is like laughable. Um, However, if it's in like the $600 range, here's the thing. That is still within spitting distance of like a PS5 price wise. Um and you are getting not only like a comparable amount of power, but also like the benefit of like PC gaming in regards to like Steam as a storefront having like much cheaper options for games most of the time, and like full customizability, and you get just like the full desktop interface to do whatever you want with it. You can mod and shit. Like it's going to be worth the investment if it's anywhere within that like $600 $700 range, if you ask me. Performance is something that just needs to be seen. I think speculating about performance is only so good to a point. And I think comparing it to like PS5 Xbox performance is not necessarily, we don't have all the information essentially. We don't know exactly what kinds of performance gains they got out of customizing the chipset that they went with. And also on top of that, you take into account that like when it comes to like playing games on SteamOS, there's the fact that when you play a game through Proton, a lot of shader caching is done in the install. And so you're not going to get, in most cases, you're not going to get the same kind of like shader compilation stutter that you sometimes get on like poorly optimized PC games, like with Unreal Engine in particular. That's like a big problem. And so, you don't need quite as much brute force powerful hardware to get similar performance to something you would get on like an optimized PS5 experience. Because the thing about like consoles is that those games are ideally very specifically optimized performance wise. And so that's why you kind of get like, you get more specific performance gains from playing on a console depending on your hardware, because, it's a single set of hardware that they're optimizing for. Whereas with PC, you get shit like shader compilation stutter and weird performance outliers and stuff that you never really know how to predict, because everybody's system is a little bit different, and maybe a little bit fucked up. And so that is, I don't know, all of that just kind of feeds into the performance thing being nebulous. I think that given examples of like performance testing on equivalent hardware, I am confident that they are going to be able to meet 4K 60 with upscaling in a solid majority of games that you would want to play on that form factor. I honestly, though, I think they shouldn't have said 4K 60, like regardless. I really think they shouldn't have put a specific number on it like that. I think that was a mistake, because that comes with like a presumption of a certain amount of brute force power that I don't think it's going to have. But I do think it is going to likely be overall, like experientially, I would imagine it's more performant than the stock hardware equivalent. So I would say like you're probably not going to get a like experientially worse experience than you would on a PS5. And so I think if it's at all within spitting distance price wise, it's probably going to be a banger. If I had to guess. But of course, I'm literally just speculating based off of like secondhand knowledge. But yeah. The Steam Machine in particular is a thing that I'm very excited about, because I'm kind of getting sick of consoles. I'm not gonna lie. I'm getting a little tired of consoles, and I'm getting a little fucking tired of console manufacturers. I think Sony, Nintendo, and Microsoft are just all ridiculous in their own special, beautiful little ways, and are kind of pissing me off individually in their own beautiful ways. Um, so like the idea of having the open ecosystem PC in such a fucking convenient form factor with the support of Valve going into like firmware updates and software updates, because here's the thing. Obviously, you just build a PC and you can have that experience for the most part. But the thing about it is that like Valve being able to design software and firmware and update things for a specific set of hardware that they know everybody has, it is more of a game changer than you would think. Like the Steam Deck, it was already kind of like one of the best pieces of gaming hardware from the last like 10 years on initial release, but it has only ever gotten better and better and better with every year. And that is because Valve knows exactly the hardware they're designing for, and they can send out these like game-changing firmware updates and software updates. Like when the Steam Deck LCD first came out, the original model, you know, it had like Bluetooth, you could connect Bluetooth controllers and stuff, you could control things, but you couldn't like wake the system up with a Bluetooth controller, for example. That was something they added to the OLED model when they released the OLED. They were like, yeah, it has wake on Bluetooth. But here's the thing. They retroactively added that to the Steam Deck LCD. So now both of them can do it. And that was never like a promise that they made. That was never something they had to do. It was something they added to the OLED as like a selling point for the upgraded model. They were like, yeah, the OLED can wake on Bluetooth. But guess what? The LCD can too now. Like they just added that out of nowhere. And there have been so many of those little things that they just keep, like recently for like every Steam Deck. Or no, actually, no, I think it was just the OLED because it requires the OLED individual like pixel shut off for this. But the OLED now has a like background download mode because they initially hadn't really figured out the way to like optimize performance when downloading in the background and while asleep. I think it was like a battery concern primarily. Oh no, it's for all of them? It's for LCD too? Okay, well yeah, then even furthermore. Like they added a background download update recently where like if you're downloading something and you want to put the system to sleep, they're just like, hey, we'll just turn off the screen while you do this and it'll just run in the background and then go to sleep when it's done. And like that was something people had wanted for a long time and they just were able to add it. And it like fundamentally changes how you use the hardware. And it made the console better just through like this firmware update. Also, hi Joy, yes. I would love pasta. I'm like very hungry. If you are down to make it, yes, absolutely. But yeah, so that's why I think the prospect of like a Steam machine is particularly appealing as opposed to just building a mini form factor PC yourself. Because like there is so much like expertise and quality of life and updating that will almost certainly be done over time for this thing. That like is I think going to be well worth the initial like investment in hardware that you have not configured yourself. And y'all haven't even gotten me started on the controller yet. The fucking Steam controller. I have been wanting a new Steam controller since the Steam Deck came out. Like since, what was that, like 2022? Something like that? 2021? I don't know, 2020. I think it was 22. I have a Steam controller one. And I don't so I appreciate it. And I think it is a very creative and innovative little device. And I really love that it exists. And I love that it has a thriving little niche community that really, really goes to bat for it and has found a place for it in their lives. And also, I never want to use it ever again. Um, I do not like the Steam controller very much. I like a lot of its ideas, and I like the spirit behind it, and I like the intention. I do not like using it. It's not very good to use. Um, the fact that it is concave is to this day so weird. I don't like the shape of it, and the fact that there's only one analog stick really fucks with me. So, you know, I like the Steam controller, but I have no use for it. I do not like using it. However, when the Steam Deck came out, when it was first announced, you look at it and you're like, this thing looks huge and unwieldy. Why are all of the controls at the top? This thing looks like kind of a nightmare. Why does it look like that? That's like probably your initial gut reaction. And then you hold it and you're like, oh, okay, I get it. At least that's what I did, where I was like, I saw how people were holding it, and then I got it in my hands, and I was like, this makes sense. Because it's all about the grips. It's all about the grip shape. It's all about the way in which your fingers wrap around the device in like a C shape. And it's as if you're doing like a loose thumbs up. You know what I mean? Like if you take your hand and like do like a loose thumbs up where your fingers don't touch your palm, that's like how you hold a Steam Deck. It's like a very, yeah, the Lego grip, exactly. It's like such a comfortable, like natural way for your hand, for at least for my hands to sit. And so holding it, I was like, oh wow, this is kind of perfect. And then I realized, oh, it's not only comfortable, having this exact input setup with the 4 back buttons and the 2 trackpads, and it's all customizable through Steam Input, it's kind of a dream come true. Because even if you don't like using, like for me personally, I have never once used like the trackpads on Steam to like aim in a game or something. I don't even really use gyro on Steam because I don't like using gyro on like handheld too much. But like but like, you know, some people who, especially fans of like the first Steam controller, will swear that like the trackpad input is so much more precise than like analog stick input for like shooters. And I believe them. I really do. And I've definitely tried it before, and like I can see the inner workings of how that would happen, right? But like on the Steam Deck especially, I just can't get behind playing games like camera-wise with the trackpads, right? And so for me, the trackpads are like a gateway for me to be able to comfortably use the desktop interface in handheld. And also, they're so good for like mouse input on like MMOs and like radial, like custom shortcut menus, which is way more powerful, especially like I said, for MMOs than you might expect. And so the idea of having a controller that has exact input parity with the Steam Deck has been something that I have wanted for a long time, because it's just so much customization. And also, the dream of having a PC living room gaming setup for me is that I can have it set up in a way where I get all of the benefits of PC gaming, but I do not have to like worry about having like a mouse and keyboard on hand at my couch, because I don't like that. When I'm at the couch, when I'm gaming on the couch, I like having a controller in my hand, and I don't really want to worry about anything else. It is not comfortable for me to have a keyboard and shit. Like I don't like it. And so I want to be able to interact with all of the fun like desktop stuff that you can do on a Steam Deck, but from the couch. And you can't really do that right now. Technically, if you pair a DualSense or a DualShock 4 you can use the touchpad on those, but like, nah. Like, it's not good. It's not the same. And also it's just one of them. You just get one and it's like so out of the way and cumbersome and the ergonomics are ass and it's not good. Um so the Steam controller 2 is something that I've wanted for a while and I very much for a long time wanted a controller that had exact one-to-one parity with the Steam Deck. And that is literally exactly what it is. It is almost exactly just if you took the size of a Steam Deck and took out the screen. But thankfully, it does have a lot of added consideration for ergonomics. Like they took the trackpads and they rotated them slightly because the way in which you grip a controller, like your elbows in and you're not holding like this big fucking thing with your hands far apart. Like it's gonna change the way your hands grip the thing a little bit, no matter what. And so they very clearly did a lot of consideration as to the exact like form factor of everything to make sure that it is still comfortable to hold and access everything. I will say there are two things. There are two things that they frustrate me so bad because Steam controller, the new one, is so goddamn close to being like end game controller level for me. It's so close, but it's missing two things. One of them is trigger stops. Like switchable trigger stops where you can so many third-party controllers have these now. It's like almost a standard thing for any like third-party like controller on PC and Switch especially. Where there's a little like switch in the back where you can change the triggers from full analog motion to like instant mouse click trigger. And the reason why something like that is very useful is because in most kinds of games, the immediate response of like a mouse click trigger is way more satisfying than having to pull the full range of it, right? That's why like that's how Nintendo justified not putting analog triggers on the Pro controller for the Switch 1 and 2 is because like most games do not actually require analog triggers to be like a better experience. And actually, arguably, most games you want like the satisfying response and instant response of like a button press as opposed to a full trigger pull, right? But, there are things like racing games, for example, where having full analog sensitivity on the trigger is very, very imperative to the playstyle. And so there are definitely cases where you want an analog trigger, but there are also cases where you would preferably want like an instant trigger. And so third-party controllers have basically standardized the trigger stop. And it's just literally you can just now there are so many controllers that just have a physical switch that you press and it turns a full analog pull into like a mouse click. And that's kind of awesome. And I've become so used to it. And and honestly, I keep my controllers mostly in the instant click mode. And so the fact that the Steam controller is analog triggers and you can't change that might take some getting used to for me. Not a deal breaker entirely. Obviously, I still play on PS5 every so often and I use those just fine. But like it's like it's an annoyance. It's a little nitpick that like I just wish they had it because lots of my favorite controllers do. But the other thing is a little bit more annoying to me as someone who does this a lot nowadays. There's no screenshot button on this controller. There's no capture button. I honestly, it kind of pisses me off how little Steam like has really like refined the like screenshot and like capture and sharing setup, they like introduced video recordings and stuff, but like all of their capture features on controller are like locked behind like these input combinations that like, yeah, it's good that they're there. Like you can take quick screenshots um on the, I feel like that's an easily programmable button. Well, I'll get into that in just a second because like technically yes, but there's a reason why it annoys me. So technically there's a couple ways you can do it. One, you can use there's a button combination. You hold down the Steam button and you either it's either right bumper or right trigger, just depending on the controller for some reason. And that'll take a screenshot, and that's fine. It works. I don't like having to hold down two buttons, and also the fact that it's the Steam button really pisses me off because like um sometimes the input just like won't work, and instead of taking a screenshot, I pull up the home menu, and it's like a little annoying because then, you know, it's interrupted, and if it's like a time sensitive screenshot, like it's fucked. Like I can't, like it ruins it. Um so that sucks. I don't like the button combination. I really want just like a single button press. But also, here's the thing. Yes, you can go into Steam input and change any of the buttons to be a screenshot button. That is something you can apply on a Steam input level. But one, that's only through Steam input. So if you're doing something that is not accessing Steam input, like on the desktop or something, for example, it's not going to work. And secondly, for some reason, and now I could technically be wrong because all of the information I looked up on this was seemingly at least a couple years out of date, so I'm not sure if they've changed this in the last couple years, but like as far as I know, for some reason, you cannot apply like a default custom profile for a controller in Steam input. Like you can't make like a sweeping change to your default controller profile. And so every time you boot up a game on Steam that has not been customized with Steam input, it is just using either the default like gamepad controls or it's using like the developer recommended setup, right? Because they have a lot of those. Now, the reason why that's annoying is because that means if I want to, for example, like give myself a dedicated screenshot button on like one of the back, because they have 4 back buttons, I don't often need 4 back buttons. I can dedicate one of those to screenshots, right? I'm fine with that in concept. The problem is, it's annoying that I would then have to do that for every single game I play. Like I can't just like boot up a game and then just know that I'm able to do screenshots and stuff. I have to think to open Steam input before I boot up a game and assign that button to one of the back buttons. Again, it's not a huge deal-breaking thing. Obviously, it sounds like I'm crying over nothing. But like it's enough of a small annoyance to me where I'm like it further reinforces how unintuitive and kind of cumbersome the whole like screenshot system for Steam is. They don't have a very good like setup overall for like sharing screenshots and clips, which is fine. You know, it's not everybody needs that kind of thing, especially like PC gamers. You probably have like ShareX or something. I have ShareX. That is what I use for screenshots on my computer. So like it kind of makes sense why they don't really prioritize it too much because people have their own solutions on PC. But if your PC is supposed to be kind of like a console, that's kind of important, if you ask me. A lot of console players like taking screenshots. They like taking video clips. And like now you can do both. But you have to do these weird like Steam button combinations, and it pisses me off a little bit. I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't like having to reach with my thumb for the Steam button and then with my other finger have to do the thing. It's annoying. So those are the two things. Honestly, those are the two things. Because the Steam controller, the new one, it has like the haptic feedback rumble. Also, wow, oh my god. My chat is fucking dead right now. They got me talking about controllers on Twitch. This is the end point. This is what happens. No, yeah, no, I get, no, it's funny. No, it's funny. People are just listening. It's great. I love it. I know, I love it. It's great. Well, I mean, I don't love it. It's nice to have people talking, but also like, I know why, and it's funny to me. Anyway, yeah, podcast mindset. I'm literally just fucking ranting right now. So it's just it's funny to see. I was looking up ShareX. Oh yeah, that's good software. I recommend it. I recommend it highly. I've used it for years. It's great. But yeah, those are the two things: trigger stops and I just wish it had a screenshot button, and I wish it had trigger stops. If I had to pick one of the two, honestly, I would probably say the screenshot button though. But yeah, either those two things aside, literally like one of my dream controllers, and I think they did specifically say they're going to be bundling the machine and the controller. And I'm very excited about that notion. Because I want both of them. I will probably get like the bundle and then get an extra Steam controller. But here's the thing though, is that I also haven't talked about the big third thing, which is the frame, the new VR headset. Holy moly. I'm not like a huge VR person. I have a Quest headset. And I've set it up again recently, and I've used it a little bit very recently. I went to a VR chat party the other night. That was fun. Did that in VR. The thing is, I hate it. I hate the Quest. I hate the Quest, and I fucking hate Meta. And I use this Quest for PC VR like very reluctantly. I have no love in my heart for this thing. The battery is garbage. The interface is a fucking nightmare. And I hate Meta as a company and everything they stand for. So, you know, but I also, I'm not going to invest in like an index because I don't want to set up base stations and do all that shit. Like and also it's like really expensive. Or at least it was really expensive. So the idea of a Steam frame, fully wireless, with inside-out tracking, no need for base stations, with a dedicated wireless connection through a Wi-Fi dongle that you just plug into your computer USB, and it gives you a dedicated streaming connection. Oh my god. Oh my god. You have no idea how much that means to me. Like, that is a fucking game changer. Not having to worry about whether or not my like router Wi-Fi speed is like too congested or like any like weird fucking, like it just comes with its own little Wi-Fi connection that it uses specifically for VR. Oh my god. It's insane. It's so cool. It like the Steam frame is probably going to be the thing that like gets me more into VR again. Because like I want to do more VR. I love VR. I think it's so fun. And the problem is just like every version of VR right now is like so fucking cumbersome in one way or another. Like it's just and with the Quest, it's the software. It's the fucking software. I hate I fucking hate the Quest operating system so bad. And it's like uncomfortable. I don't know. So the fact that the Steam frame is like the lightest like consumer tier VR headset, obviously there's like the big screen beyond and all that, which is like if you're going for the most lightweight, but you also have like the most money anyone's ever had, you can do that. But like, yeah, the Steam Frame, I really hope it is I hope it is competitively priced with the Quest line. The Quest lineup. Uh, One, because like it seems like it has a very similar like hardware setup. It seems very similarly spec'd in terms of all of its tech. That isn't like cool software based, but also because oh my god, I need Meta 6 feet under as soon as possible. I need somebody who has like the resources and the potential to just completely dethrone Meta's influence over VR, because like Meta as a company is like a huge fucking reason why like VR gaming specifically is in dire straits. A lot of that is just down to exclusivity. Someone like Sophie could talk about this with a lot more like experience and knowledge than me. But I'm sure she would agree on the fact that like exclusivity for Meta is like a huge thing that has been like hurting VR gaming. Um, and like there are so many games that are just like trapped on like this garbage ass ecosystem. Uh, yeah, they invaded the space and then just kind of gave up. Yeah, they like bought up a bunch of companies that were making like VR games and shit, and then like they just don't do anything of note with it, and they're on their whole like fucking metaverse shit. So it's like they they bought up a lot of people and then put them on things that I mean, I guess I maybe shouldn't say this so confidently. I don't actually know the specifics of everything, but the impression I get is that they bought up a bunch of people and kneecapped them and like put them on projects that are not actually like in the interest of better VR like game experiences. But yeah, so the Steam Frame, I feel like if the price is right, they really have the potential to like upset that market. And I really, really hope they do. And I'm probably going to get one regardless. Just because I need to get rid of this MetaQuest as soon as possible. I cannot get rid of this thing soon enough. I hate it. I hate it so bad. The things that I hope about the Steam Frame are that honestly, a lot of what I would have initially hoped about the Steam Frame has already been like confirmed to be the truth of it. So that's awesome. The big thing that I'm concerned about is like battery life and comfort. Those are the two things. Comfort seems like it's going to be fine. They have some like comfort straps and stuff they're going to add to like a bundle you can get or whatever, I think. And like battery life, I'm not sure if they talked about that, but I really hope the battery situation is reasonable, cuz I like I said I went to like a VR chat party with my Quest the other day. And I wasn't even running VR chat on the headset. I was streaming from my PC. Shit straight up died in like 2.5 to 3 hours on a full charge. I don't understand. Like maybe I was doing something wrong, but like it was nothing. I was barely able to do anything. It was bad. So yeah. Steam Frame seems awesome. I'm very excited about it. It is absolutely going to replace my Quest. I really hope they I really hope these all release at the same time. I hope it's not like a staggered thing where it's like, oh, you get the machine and the controller in like March and then the fucking frame comes out in like May. I mean, I think they said early 2026. I don't know if they specifically said Q1. I think Q1 has been sort of assumed based on them saying early. Um, but I would hope it's not like February, April type release staggering, you know. I hope they all drop around the same time. And I hope that there's like a bundle with all three. Cause I straight up might go for that. If there's like a version of this where you can buy all 3 of them at the same time and get some kind of discount on the whole thing. Um, I might just try and spring for that because I want all 3 of them so bad. Although I do want an extra controller, so I do want 2 of them. I need 2 of those controllers. So like if they have some kind of bundle thing going on, that would be fantastic. If nothing else though, I know they're at least bundling the machine and the controller. They mentioned that. So that'll be nice. That'll be nice for people and for me. So I'll definitely go for that one if that's the only bundle they have going on. I could definitely see that being the case. It would make sense to just make use of the streaming. Yeah, well, they like specifically advertised how uh the machine would be a good thing to stream games to the frame from. To the frame from. That's a fun little sentence. A little series of words. Yeah, I hope they're all bundled as like a single thing and you can just like get them all delivered. Oh my god. Dude, the second Christmas people would have buying a bundle of all 3 and getting them all at the same time. Oh my god, could you fucking imagine? Like that might be one of the best days of my life. Like I actually think that would be like very hard to top for a long time. That's Christmas clues. That's Christmas number 2 when that shit happens. So I really hope they go for that. But yeah, I'm so excited about all the Steam hardware. Like I said it earlier, the Steam Deck OLED specifically. I like the Steam Deck LCD quite a bit. And I think obviously you don't get the OLED without the success of the LCD. It really like changed things. Personally, I didn't use the LCD like a ton. When the Steam Deck OLED came out, and they just like across the board fixed like all of these tiny little things about the LCD that kind of bugged me. And they gave it that beautiful screen. The Steam Deck OLED is like one of the best pieces of hardware I have seen launched in my lifetime. Like it is so good. It is so uniquely and unprecedentedly good. I actually cannot believe that like you are allowed to release something that delivers on its promise that much anymore. Like cuz everything sucks so much with like hardware and like fucking corporations and you know like tech is so awful right now. It's not fun anymore. Like computers and tech, Silicon Valley, all that shit, it sucks so bad. Gaming hardware for the most part is pretty fucking awful right now. Just across the board. Yeah, we're not making gadgets anymore. We're making goddamn like live service barfing AI slop nonsense, right? Like it's really bad. It's really, really bad right now. Across the board. So seeing the Steam Deck OLED come out and it's just like it's just this open little thing that you can they just give it to you, they just sell it to you. And it's exactly what it says it's going to be. There's no huge like downside. There's no like surprise secret crypto mining shit you have to worry about. Like it's just they sell it to you, you own it. They encourage you to do whatever you want with it. It's just a computer. And they let you let it be a computer and have fun with it. Like I didn't know you were allowed to do that. And it was so refreshing then, and it's scary that it is like still refreshing now. It's a little scary to me that like I can look at a little like black cube and be like, wow, this is so refreshingly exactly what it looks like it's going to be. And that's like a novel thing to me. It's nuts. It's nuts. So like I'm very thankful at least that Valve is like making that happen in some form. It's that feeling of too good to be true. Yeah. But it is true. The Steam Deck OLED, it's so awesome. It's such a good little device. The moment the Steam Deck 2 happens, because you know it's gonna happen. They've hinted at it. In that Steam announcement thing, they were like, we're excited to talk about the future of Steam Deck, but not today. And it's like, oh. I mean, they've said multiple times that like they're probably gonna do another one. It's just a matter of like waiting for when the actual gains in performance and like tech are justifiable enough. Like, but man, that's gonna be a crazy day. Not to think too far ahead. I'm like desperate to consume. I'm such a fucking consumer, man. I love buying toys. I love buying little gadgets. It's, and the thing about this Valve hardware is that it's like, it's igniting that in me because it's stuff that I want. It's stuff that I want and it looks good. Like, it's stuff that I want and it looks good. I used to be like really big into like Apple stuff and like, you know, I still like the iPad. I still like kind of what they're doing with iPhones sometimes, but like, you know, fucking that Apple Vision Pro came out. I have it's actually crazy how little I wanted that thing from the jump. It is like the single biggest example in my mind of like a product that does not answer a single question about your life. It is a product that has no space in your life. It is a product, you buy it and it has to like, it has to insist upon itself is the thing. Like you have to create space in your life for it. And the thing about tech that used to be very cool about tech in computers is that it used to work the other way around. They didn't have to fucking justify themselves to you. You had a need that this thing would answer. It could like do something for you. But now it's like these tech corporations want to sell you AI. And they need you to buy into AI so bad. They need you to buy into AI. They need you to buy into fucking cryptocurrency. They need you to buy into fucking NFTs, metaverse shit, because they're looking for every possible way to siphon as much attention and money from you as possible, because every single year they have to make more money than they did the last year. That is what it all comes down to. Every single year, there is a group of guys saying, hey, I noticed this number this time was not bigger than the number last time that happened. What gives, huh? What are you doing about that, huh? And so everything gets worse. Everything gets worse because some guy is like, why isn't the number bigger? And so then they have to come up with some new fucking dumbass thing that they then have to show you and go, don't you need this? Don't you need this fucking robot that takes away your agency over the words you write and use to communicate with other human beings? I'm sorry, don't you need something to write a fucking email for you? Isn't that something you've always needed? Isn't that something you've always needed? It's like, no, I have never needed that. It would scare me if I did. Why are you trying to convince me that I need to like carve out a place in my soul for you? Can you sell me a pair of glasses that plays Half-Life Alyx instead, please? I need that. Like, Jesus. you know, I'm not trying to like, I'm really not trying to like, what's the word? I'm not trying to like glorify Valve as like oh, they're the only good corporation. Like, no, like that's not really like it's all more nuanced than that, and it's like whatever. Like obviously at the end of the day, their goal is to make money. Like that is what they're there for, right? But like, but they're not publicly traded, which really helps. Like that's really the big thing, man. Is just like they're not fucking beholden to the idea that like you have to do everything possible to make as much money as physically possible for the sake of it, which is like that's like that's the big thing for me. It's like and it's just it vexes me how we could have possibly ever thought that that was a good idea. And I think it's just because like that wasn't really anybody's idea as much as it is just like kind of the way things shook out when you get a bunch of people who are like just naturally who are just like drawn to making more money, and then that becomes the system, and then eventually it's like, oh, the purpose of the system is what it does. And it's like, yeah, the system was created out of greed. The system was created out of greed, and so then the system being created out of greed feeds into more greed, and so on and so forth. Anyway, that's a larger subject. That's a much larger conversation. But yeah, I'm excited about all the Steam stuff. It really makes me very happy to like be excited about a nice solid like lineup of hardware. Again, I say again as if I wasn't like drooling over the Switch 2 all year before that came out. I do like listen, I like the Switch 2. It's I will admit it's been a little bit whelming, but I'm gonna say I don't actually think that's the console's fault. I really don't. I don't actually think the Switch 2 being a somewhat whelming experience for me this year is like the fault of the console. Thank you, baby. I just got a big plate of pasta for my girlfriend. La 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 la. Yeah, I don't think the Switch 2 being somewhat whelming to underwhelming is really the fault of the console, or even the quote unquote lack of games, because I don't think there's been a huge lack of games, like truly. I think it's been fine. I think the thing is that I've just been busy. I've been too busy to really make much use of it in a way that I wasn't entirely expecting. Yeah, and I know like the game situation, it's going to be different for different people because we all have different interests and standards. Like if you didn't like Mario Kart World, if you didn't like Donkey Kong Bonanza for any reason, like if it didn't land for you, then that's going to be kind of a big gap in the release schedule, because it's like, well, what did I get out of that? Not much, right? So like fuck you. The thing about the Switch 2 that has been just, you know, kind of the sticking point for me is really just like how is just those price tags, man. Like they're pricing so many people out of being able to experience these things at launch, and that's really sad. That's a really sad thing, because I love the conversation. I love when people are able to play games and enjoy games and talk about them together, and it's just a really sad situation. And that's really the big thing about this Switch 2 generation so far, is just like they kind of went crazy. They, you know, everything's 70 and over now, and that's been not great. That, you know, it's an exacerbated issue because everything is more expensive as well. So I totally get it. Yeah, I get why that alone is the thing that would turn somebody off of it. But it's just like, yeah, I do have the most positive feelings about the Switch 2 as opposed to the other consoles right now. PS5 makes me sad, and Xbox and Microsoft and their whole deal pisses me off. I'm so mad about Xbox, and like I have so I have so much like I have so much vitriol in my heart right now towards Xbox as a brand. It kind of scares me. Everything about Microsoft is garbage. And it pisses me off that Double Fine is an Xbox studio right now. Double Fine and Obsidian, I need somebody to save them. Please. Please. I'm begging you. Get them out of there, man. I don't care anymore. I gotta play that new Double Fine game. I've not played it yet. Real bummer. I just thought, okay. Should all of this just go on SnapQ 2.5? Because here's the thing. I might end stream soon. So it would be kind of weird. It would be kind of weird to post what is essentially just a full just chatting VOD on the pre-stream channel, because this whole thing has been pre-stream. I thought I was gonna play a game, but I'm tired and I kind of want to eat. So yeah, it's not pre-stream. It's not pre-stream. I really didn't expect that. I'm gonna be honest. I kind of was thinking I would play some Kirby, TBH. Well, no, I was thinking I would play Final Fantasy. Okay, you know what? Here's what I'll do. I'm gonna take a break. I'm gonna take a break, and I'm gonna eat this plate of pasta, and I'm gonna get myself like a beverage, and I think I'll keep it rolling for a little bit. The night's still young, you know. It's like 10 p.m. We can still go for a little bit. I want to put this on 2.5. I haven't been able to put anything on 2.5 in a long time. And I was hoping this would be a nice, big, meaty thing to put on 2.5. Because here's the thing. 2.5 got monetized recently. It was really exciting. 2.5 is a monetized channel now. And I don't want to kill it immediately, because it's been so long since I put something on there. So I want that channel to do well. I like it. I'm a big fan of it, and people seem to like it as well. So I would like to at least try and keep the stream going for a little longer, maybe like a couple hours longer, just to justify putting all of this on SnapQ 2. It's been 3 hours! The 3-hour pre-stream, dude. No way. Awesome. Okay. I will be back shortly. Give me like a few minutes. I'm gonna eat. And if I change my mind, I'll let you know when I get back, and we'll just put this on SnapQ 2. But otherwise, yeah, you know, we'll see. We'll see what the vibe is. BRB.